Okay, so as I said, Pope Francis is going to stun the world with a revelation that will upset the Catholic faith. Now I'm going to give you...
Well, the Catholic Church is due for some changes. It hasn't changed with the time in millennia, and people are evolving, beliefs are evolving. The Church has to evolve to stay alive, to stay ahead, to be a governing body in people's lives.
I'm going to give you three choices that are, within the last 5 years, has been a hotbed of activity in the Vatican. And you tell me which one you think is going to be
There's several
the revelation. A, extraterrestrial life exists. B, Catholic priests are allowed to marry.
Oh, God.
Or C, he's going to accept gays into the Catholic faith and allow gay marriage.
I see them accepting gays before they actually allow their priests to marry. But I think it's going to be a montage of, or a hodgepodge of everything. They're going to be giving a little bit more than they are going to be taking away, like I said, in order to survive.
Now this is for every American out there. This is regarding our rights as United States citizens. We will see our privacy and our constitutional rights to continue to disappear with laws that are secretly passed. A dark agenda is afoot for the masses, but we can we can end this dark plan if we unite the masses for common good. Okay, we need to get united. As long as we are not united, it's going to continue to keep happening, and there's going to be nothing to stop it, because they just keep creating these laws that are just stripping us of our civil rights. Home loans. Those in residential mortgage businesses will find it harder and harder to get home loans closed with the new laws going into effect the first of the year. Mortgage companies will someday go away like the dinosaurs. Earthquake and volcanic activity.
I already talked a little bit about the Ring of Fire.
A large earthquake hits northern Japan near Fukushima. We already said that. This could worsen an already dire situation with the nuclear plant there. Watch for Mount Etna in Italy, and many volcanoes are just going to suddenly erupt. All around the world, you really need to keep close attention to the Indian Ocean Basin in Southeast Asia. Those are two hotbeds of earthquakes and volcanoes that...
We're going to see a lot more activity in Yellowstone, too.
Economic reminder. Congress still hasn't resolved anything with the staggering U.S. debt. We will see them divide, or we will see them divided, which they already are and have been, which will lead to a fall in the stock market by late January 2014. Believe it or not, 2013 ended with one of the best years for the stock market in almost 2 decades. But when it opened up on January 2nd, it had one of its worst days in months with losses. So, and this is just going to begin setting a trend. We could see governments taking steps for freezing bank accounts. Because I honestly believe that the greed in corporate America, they want to take control of our rights. The rich are getting richer, and the further divide will be seen between the haves and have-nots, and the middle class is slowly disappearing. We will continue to see this trend in 2014. College students will find it harder to get good-paying jobs, and the shift will continue to have college students moving back with their parents in order to survive. So you're going to continue to see this. And there's going to be a backlash with the young because they're going to have high student loans and no way of paying them back. What is the sense of going to school and learning and going way in debt if they can't get employment in order to pay that debt back?
Well, that's just it. It's the way the trend has been going is you're a slave to the economy. And unfortunately, if we don't cut this trend, we're just going to get deeper and deeper and deeper. We have a lot of potential out there. We have a lot of people with a lot of brains, and they're going to be deprived of the tools they need, and our country is going to cease to develop, and we are going to fall behind.
One of the things that I do want to know about the stock market, and it's increasing more than 18% in 2013 for the first time in 2 decades.
You just have to realize it crashed too. I mean, it went down below a certain percentage. That's the only reason why it increased. It went back to the norm.
No, it is at record highs, and this has only been good for the rich and powerful. Low income, not good at all. The rich and powerful, they call themselves the job creators, but they're not creating the jobs. And this is not going to improve in 2014. They want to take the money and they want to run. Okay, so this one is a little more on the not so upbeat, positive. These are disease predictions for 2014.
Well, some of the stuff you just said is an upbeat or positive.
Oh. There are scientists in labs all around the world that are studying particular bacteria.
And diseases.
But there is a scientist that is going to discover. If you remember a few years ago, people were getting sick from their drinking water. They could not pinpoint why. Well, now this scientist is going to find a new bacteria, and they're going to find a way to treat this and prevent people from getting this kind of bacteria or exposed to this bacteria in their drinking water.
You have to remember, this is nothing new. People have been dying from their drinking water forever. And unless you learn what's in it and how to treat it, people are going to continue to die. And there are people out there that are too ignorant or incapable of treating their own water in order to survive.
Yeah.
So you're damned if you don't, you're damned if you do. One way you treat it, you die in the long-term aspect of the stuff that you used in the water, or you take your chances with the water, and you may die anyway.
An airborne respiratory disease, a new one, will come out, and it will heavily affect children and the elderly, like it usually does, but at a higher percentage than normal. It is going to start in Asia and spread to the United States.
Why does it seem that everything starts in Asia these days? The melting pot of disease of the world?
An E. coli breakout with tainted chicken eggs. I see that around June. But overall, a higher percentage of people in 2014 are going to have a healthier year than they did in 2013. But people with AIDS are going to start developing these brown spots that will not be good for them. This is the AIDS virus beginning to mutate.
What kind of brown spots? Like moles or liver spots or sunspots or
brown pigment,
just pigment changes?
Pigment changes. That is going to be an indication that the virus is changing.
And it went to a different stage.
Yeah. Trying to find it. a new breed of viruses will be discovered. This virus will cause a very harmful disease which will put the whole world in high alert. Once again, this is going to be in the melting pot of bacteria and viruses and diseases. It will start in Asia. A flu strain infecting many across the U.S. Once it starts, it will spread fast. I think that's in the later part of 2014. I think it has something to do with the bacteria, not bacteria, sorry, it's a flu, virus, that the new virus bug they'll find in Asia, and it will spread from Asia to America. It's a big outbreak of disease. But there will be small outbreaks of disease around the world. And it's going to begin to cause a little bit of a fear factor here with mass hysteria. Once again, like the swine flu did. Just remember, wash your hands.
Yeah, universal precautions.
Don't get close to people, especially if they show signs.
Try to avoid close quarters.
Yeah. Don't put your hands to your face. Remember what you're touching. Remember to use Purell or hand sanitizer.
Yeah, but they're saying now that the hand sanitizer is a bad thing because normally humans would be able to develop automatically resistance to these diseases. But since sterilization has become so readily available, people are no longer being exposed on a regular basis to these diseases. And when they do get exposed to them, they have no immunity to them. And that's what's going to cause the epidemics or the hysteria, is the fact that we're killing them before we get a chance to adapt to them. So now when they do hit us, we have no defense against them.
It's a yin and yang. It's a balance of the universe.
I mean, I believe that sanitary systems like Purell should be used in hospitals and, medical wards and things like that. But with it being out in the world and people not coming in contact and building up the immunities the human body does need, we're going to see a big change in the
next time somebody
factor.
Sneezes in their hands and wants to shake your hand, what are you going to do?
Wash.
Well, that's sanitizing.
It's nothing like soap and water. It doesn't necessarily sanitize. It cleans. It gets rid of the...
But you're not exposed to the virus.
But you are, because it doesn't
bacteria.
sanitize. It kills the virus, but you're still exposed to the dead virus. Whereas with sanitizer, it completely eliminates your exposure. Most vaccines are controlled by introducing the dead virus. If you don't introduce the dead virus, you cannot build up the immunity to the live virus.
So you're saying expose yourself and be sick all winter long?
No, I'm not. I'm saying take precautions to make sure that you're not knocking at death's door.
But not
avoid completely
measures.
Tight places, enclosed places. Avoid sick wards. Avoid, if you do go into a department store where there's railings or stairs, if you touch them, wash. Saying use universal precautions, but don't walk around in a tight bubble. You can't walk around in a
our
sterile
fast-paced
bubble.
world today, people don't have the time to be sick. That's why they're doing this. But they're going to make themselves sicker.
But in the long run, it's harmful.
Oh, I understand. Once again, sickness in the air, what we were just talking about. We live in a chemical world, especially in this country. And in 2014, people are going to begin to slowly realize that our food and water is contaminated with chemicals caused by the increase in medications that we are taking into our bodies.
people have already realized that?
No, but it's gonna be-
plants and animals are already being tested.
Yeah.
Why do you think we have all this natural and all this organic?
It's
and all
going
this...
to become more widely known and accepted. The population isn't going to be denying it or basically.
Oh yeah, you can go for the $12 ear of corn, which will fill your belly, or you can go for the 3-cent ear of corn, which will make your eyes glow in the dark. I mean, you're going to have your poor population and your rich population, and again, there's going to be a division. There's going to be a selection.
In these diseases that we've been recently talking about, in mass hysteria, mass school closings because of this in late 2014. We just recently had one of these in Torrington with a stomach bug virus. They closed the school.
Well, that's one thing that's going to become more and more effective is to stop the gathering, to isolate, to quarantine, to let it run its course and stop.
When sources of disease are found in 2014, that people are dying because of the food that they are eating at a higher rate, fingers will begin to point and heads will begin to roll. It is going to be a big political issue.
Everybody plays the blame game. Nobody wants to be responsible for it.
One of the bacteria that is actually going to be coming over from Asia are not going to just affect human beings. It's going to affect the birds.
It's going to jump species. Well, why not? We have Eastern equine encephalitis. We have,
and it will
what's
be...
that other disease that we've been having? It's jumping,
West Nile?
West Nile. It jumps species. And it's just going to be like the plague.
We're going to see birds falling from the sky, and they're going to be falling dead from high altitudes. And believe it or not, although we do get the bacteria and we do get sick, we have a better immune system to fighting it off than the bird population.
Well, a large cause that they're going to think it's a disease, but it's not a disease. We've had several instances where whole flocks of birds have just dropped from the sky, like they exploded internally and hit the ground. They're going to come to find out that it's pressure pockets and that it's sound waves like an EMP pulse or something that's actually coming from the planet or coming from the sun or either in between, and they're going to find out what's exactly causing that as well.
Before these new bacteria and viruses are brought under control, many people and animals are going to lose their lives. I'm not trying to scare people. It is not going to be a massive amount of the population. It's not like the human population is going to go extinct. But it is a dangerous disease that are going to come out. And it's going to affect not only human beings. Another thing they should be very wary of is the birds that do drop from the sky contain those diseases that you can catch. You need to be very careful in disposing of those species.
Yeah, you find large flocks of dead things, birds, fish, anything like that. You get in touch with authorities, you call in the CDC, you don't handle them yourselves.
There will be, by the end of 2014, after the flu hits and a lot of people are getting sick across the globe, a scientist in the Midwest is going to find an antiviral vaccine. It will not help those who have been exposed or have the flu at the time. But those who do not have the flu and those who have not been exposed, the vaccine will prevent them from getting the flu. And there is a funny thing that's going to occur, and I don't mean funny thing, but another scare around the globe is going to be a massive animal die-off in the southern hemisphere, which will occur like in South America, and it will be some type of a virus that will affect animals. And they'll be talking about this once again, that if it should jump species, if it should mutate and come into the human population, it's not gonna. But it is gonna do in the southern hemisphere, especially in South America, spread like wildfire, kill a lot of livestock and farm animals before they get this thing under control, and there really is not a human threat. 2014. This is the year to analyze your life in all of its aspects. It is the year of self-change. Discover what is working and what isn't, and discard things that are not working.
This is definitely a year of self-awareness.
Yeah. Let 2014 be the year that you examine your life truthfully and begin to make necessary changes so that you set yourself on a path to true contentment and enjoyment, rather than mindless running the same old routine just because that's
just
the way
it. You
you've
have to
always
take
done
control. You have to be active. You have to be the movement within your life to make your future brighter. There is no just sitting idle and watching life go by and expect anything to get better. This year will be your year to make your difference in your life.
2014 is important to make decisions to live life abundantly and to help others to do the same. That's important. Volunteer locally. Donate locally. Shop locally. That is one of my major missions. Keep the money flowing in your own community. It helps you, your family, your friends, your neighbors, the entire community. Stop sending it overseas to terrorists. That's just my little political slant there, okay?
Well, that's just it. We need to focus more on us, more on our people, more on the United States, more on our government, more on our people, our impoverished, our poor, our destitute, our, this is something that we have not invested in a very, very long time, and it's starting to take its effects.
Medical predictions. In July, a health breakthrough with thyroid disorder. I see stem cell treatment becoming more mainstream around the end of 2014, the beginning of 2015, and really explode in 2016. Specifically, I see stem cells being used more and more in heart patients. There's a foot cream that is going to be developed that will coat the human skin and make it more like lizard-like, and this will help stop calluses and decrease foot diseases. Some people are more prone to these types of, athlete's feet and various different types of funguses and stuff like that. And this cream is going to provide a protective layer around your feet to prevent calluses and these diseases. Another major recall in March on breast implants. It's going to become very serious and impacting a lot of people, health, and basically what will be happening is these breast implants will begin exploding in the body. Alternative medicine breakthroughs, Big Pharma dismisses. Herbology, healing with foods, and natural cures become more and more popular in 2014.
Well, most of our treatments, most of our hospitals, most of our medicines are derived from nature. And it's only, it's only normal, or it's only following a rite of passage that we should turn to nature for the cures.
Well, in 2014, Big Pharma is going to go to war with alternative medicine. And the pharmaceutical companies, in their public relation efforts, it's going to backlash. And it's going to bring people more aware of, sometimes you can feed people information and all of a sudden become to brainwash them. And then there's other times where you've made such an effort that people are just like, well, wait a minute, this is just absolutely ridiculous. This makes no sense. Well, that's in the direction that pharmaceutical companies are going to go. Making these bold claims that are not substantiated. And people are going to increasingly say, you know what? I'm not going to take medication. I'm going to try to do this the good old-fashioned way. It worked for how many millennia before Big Pharma started trying to pump medication into us on a regular basis? And a new public awareness of alternative medicine is going to be big in 2014. There's going to be a breakthrough that will come in June regarding Siamese twins. And you want to know what this breakthrough is going to be? This breakthrough is going to be, they are going to be able to do something inside the womb, a non-surgical procedure that will allow the cell or the Siamese twins to continue and separate. And it will become a thing of the past within the next 10 years. But this breakthrough of allowing the cells or the connected embryos to actually divide will actually put Siamese twins as something in the history book. But this will, these breakthroughs will start becoming big news in June. Okay. Oh. Snake venom is going to become big news in September for migraines. They're going to find that there's something in venom from snakes that will help people that are prone with constant migraines.
That hasn't been discovered already?
What?
That's different snakes produce venom that help with different medical conditions, especially migraines.
I don't believe so. I might be wrong, but that's...
And once again, it's nature taking its course, and like they used to use leeches to increase blood flow in diabetics. There they derived the diuretics that thin blood. They'll find out that snakes have another use besides eating and petting and killing.
There is going to be
and that also goes for any other venom, scorpion, spider. They'll find that in diluted, extremely diluted forms, that they will be very beneficial.
Now, when I come out and say this bold statement, there's going to be cure for AIDS, it is multifaceted.
There already is a cure for AIDS if you catch it soon enough.
Well, that is going to be the key issue.
So there's going to be a hole or a what do you call it? A margin.
A stage of the disease. It comes from a Bolivian tree, and the roots of this tree contains enzymes. Okay? Well, no, let me not get into the enzymes yet. The tree in the roots will be used for vaccines against AIDS. Okay? So if you've been exposed or think you've been exposed to AIDS, and you're in the early stages of the disease, this will be a cure. It's not for late stage diseases. Okay?
But then again, is it truly a cure where it's completely out of the body? Or is it a cure to the fact where you will live with it and not have any effects of it?
No, it's a cure. You won't
It will be
spread
completely
it.
purged from the body.
The virus will be killed. It's an antiviral for AIDS. If you get it in the early stages. If you have HIV, the enzymes from the root will counteract the effects of HIV. This is what you were just talking about.
So you can live with it without the effects of it.
Without the effects.
A normal, long, natural life.
You'll normal, long life. You will.
But you still carry the virus.
And you can still spread it. Those who have AIDS and the disease has progressed to AIDS, this is not going to help them. That's why I said this is a multifaceted, when I say the bold statement, a cure for AIDS. No, if you have full-blown AIDS and you're at late stage, this is not a cure for you. Sorry, it's come too late. But those who are exposed to it, it will be a cure, and those who have HIV, it will counter-effect. And it's a natural, all natural, so there's really not going to be any side effects of this. That's one of the good things about it. There is going to be, in July, medical breakthrough with brain tumors. They are going to discover that sonic or sound waves directed right at the brain tumors are going to begin to reduce and completely shrink or annihilate the brain tumors. They're not sure why, because this isn't working on every tumor in the body, but something to do with frequencies and sonic sounds directed directly at the brain tumor and brain tissue will reduce and eradicate brain tumors. In the years 2014 through 2016, medications will be on sale with licenses and approvals for cancer, lupus, Parkinson's, AIDS, and they are going to be dramatically reduced by 85 to 95%. One of the things that are going to happen with our Affordable Care Act is government is going to begin critiquing it. One of the critiques that I honestly believe should have been done in the beginning was keeping the cost of healthcare under control. I mean, I'm not talking about the cost of health insurance. I'm talking about the cost of health care under control. And they're going to be doing this within the next 2 years, keeping this under control. So yeah, the approvals for cancer medications, lupus, Parkinson's disease, and AIDS. I don't do death predictions, but I will say this. We talked a little bit about guns. I see riots and gangs in the southeast of the United States that will begin to have people become very fearful for sending kids to school, and schools will be closed because of this. Yeah, I'm not going to even. There will be a surprising death of a very notable person. A very famous person in 2014 will be murdered. Another one will die of a heart attack. Another one will die of a stroke. Another one will die of lung issues. I can say that a female country music singer is among one of those, but I'm not going to name names and say exactly which ones because I don't do that. And there will be some very popular and prominent people that will die in 2014. There's a lot of them that are getting up there in age now. I also see that during a lot of these earthquakes, there's going to be a number of deaths.
Oh yeah, because the earthquakes are going to start showing up in places that aren't used to having earthquakes, and they're not going to know how to respond, and they're not in dwellings that were built to withstand earthquakes.
Another thing that's going to be very interesting is a murder is going to be caught on live TV. While a reporter is reporting, I see this like in the Kansas area. He's reporting on a bar fight, and apparently the bar fight involved some gang members, and there is a retaliation that takes place on live television, and this is going to go viral. People will actually see this on live television, and it's going to be played over and over and over and over again. I have another one that I would like you to read the underlined sections on this paper.
Okay, 2014 in numerology is 2 plus 0 plus 1 plus 4 equals 7. 7 is a very powerful number. It's a primary number divisible only by itself. It is the number of the universe. There are 7 days of the week, 7 chakras traditionally, 7 heavens, colors, notes of the musical scale, 7 seas, 7 planets traditionally, which the day of the week are named after.
You are listening to 2014 Psychic Predictions by the Psychic Couple. This is part 4. Ta-ta!